No toil, no trouble.
Stouffer's 7 delicious new side dishes, like fettuccine Alfredo, come in quick cooking pouches.
Bubble, bubble. No toil, no trouble.
So in 18 minutes or less, you can have ratatouille. Or any of Stouffer's 7 superb new side dishes, like scrumptious yams and apples.
Bubble, bubble. No toil, no trouble.
7 new pouch side dishes from Stouffer's.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'd like to know what she's doing with her life now. Rita, what are you doing with your life now that you're out of Washington?
I'm committed to this 2-week tour for Playboy, and after that, I'll be living in New York City, and I'll be getting back into the professions that I left as a congressional spouse and as commercial acting and my singing.
You've made your public statement now, and I would like to know why don't you just say no comment? You know, instead of continuing hashing over the same thing that you went through, the degradation, why not just say no comment, you know?
About self-esteem, because I do have something to comment about self-esteem and how I feel about that.
And your Playboy contract obliges you to promote the article.
Well, I'm obliged to a 2-week tour, so I'm not, pursuing this myself. I mean, I'm not saying I want to be on Phil Donahue, or I want to be on this program, or I want this interview. I'm obliged to do this by my contract.
I'd like to know if, after you opened all these doors and everything, if you're afraid that it'll be something like Martha Mitchell when it happened to her?
Well, they've tried to depict me, some people. A chairman of a committee on the Hill who was peripherally involved in an scam knew that I had more knowledge than your average person, and so he put out the rumor that I was an alcoholic. And actually, I don't even like hard liquor. I never drink hard liquor. I may have a glass of wine from time to time. So they're trying to do that, but Martha Mitchell wasn't crazy. She was the most sane person in that whole Watergate thing. It's just unfortunate she died of cancer and was not able to see herself vindicated. She was not crazy, but they tried to depict her as such. And yeah, I'm a little fearful of that.
How long were you married to the senator prior to the time that this...
Congressman.
Right. It's 5 years. 5 years.
South Carolina. Yes, ma'am.
I just wonder, what was the catalyst that caused your separation? Was it more the... I mean, it seems to me like you've endured a lot of indignities, and I wonder if it was more the infidelities of your husband or if it was the conviction on the ab scam.
It wasn't a conviction. In fact, I was scheduled to appear on Phil's show the week that I left John, and I had to cancel, to your anguish, I think, about that, very quickly. But we had just appeared on a show here, a local show in Chicago, and the host had asked my husband, how do you feel about Rita posing for Playboy? And he said, well, I would be very upset. And I thought, how dare you? You suggested it, I couldn't believe it. Then he flew back to Miami, and as I say, gave me a bogus address, a bogus phone number. He was with a woman down there, an old girlfriend, and here I was trying to make money for his appeal. And then I found the money in the shoe, in the closet, and I said, well, this is just too much. And he's sober now. And running around and being unfaithful sober, I could always rationalize it when he was drinking, because I said, well, he's an alcoholic and he can't help it. But sober doing it, I thought, I don't have to endure this anymore. And so I finally fought back.
Is the caller there? Hello? Hi, go ahead. We have the phones on here, guys?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, this is Phil Donahue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, I live in Austin now, but I'm from South Carolina. I did have a question for Rita.
Go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to ask her about how the other congresswomen treated her and the other wives, particularly South Carolina wives.
Do you mean congressional spouses, or do you mean constituent wives?
Congressional wives in general, and in South Carolina.
Why do you ask?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I am from South Carolina, and I am curious.
Okay. I have lots of friends that are congressional spouses, and they have been supportive. There have been those who have not been supportive because they're, not supportive, but they've been reticent to chat with me because they're in there for the long haul. Their husbands will be members of Congress for 10 years or 20 years or whatever. As far as the wives in South Carolina, I often thought in South Carolina that you had to be born there and raised there for people to accept you, which is often true of any locality, I suppose. But there were many people in South Carolina I developed a friendship with, and then there were many people who were judgmental of me just because they always typified me as the blonde Texan, and they made judgments about me when I felt they shouldn't have. But I suppose it's life in general.
Here's the caller there. Hi.
Hello, I'm just appalled at this woman. I think it takes two to tango, and I'm afraid that she's just making money off her own mistakes.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, and that's your problem, and I can't look at myself through your eyes.
Want to talk to the caller? Does anybody want to talk to the caller? Are you still there, caller? Oh, she...
I wonder how she would feel. How does she feel about your husband?
I'm sure she thinks he's delightful, you know?
Well, it seems to me, how long did you take this kind of flack before you dumped the creep?
Really? 5 long years. I guess it had to do with the fact that it was a second marriage, and I really didn't want to admit that I had failed a second time. And I think that kept me in there a lot longer than I would have stayed.
What?
I don't think she failed.
Well, I hope not. But I think that that's something that makes you reticent about going on, you know.
Hold on just a moment.
Could I ask you, Rita, do you think there's something inherent in the life of a congressional spouse that makes it easier for you to practice self-delusion? You seem to be saying that.
I think so. I think that it's the Potomac fever of being in Washington and going to the White House and the perks and policemen stopping traffic for you, and you have the congressional plates, and everyone else parks hundreds of yards away from the airport, but you park right there by the door, and the spouse gets into that too. But after a while, I found that my husband's staff became my best friend, and they couldn't stand me. And yet these were people I confided in. And so you're just swimming to keep your head above water, trying to survive at some point, because you've given up so much of your identity. I mean, there's only so long you can look at your husband adoringly as he says the same joke for the 1000th time and smile, not showing too much of your gum, but just in a certain way, and looking at him with those dreamy eyes and thinking, isn't he delightful, without it affecting you in some sense.
Where did the $25,000 come from that you found in your shoe?
I have no idea. I mean, I really don't. I wish I knew. The IRS has it now, so.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
I like bread. I like it soft and fresh. I like it white and full of real bread flavor. In other words, I like this bread, tasty bread. I mean, I love tasty bread. My kids think I buy tasty bread for them. No, it's for me.
Tasty, enriched white bread. It's baked while you sleep.
Secure Care 65, an affordable companion plan to Medicare. It's a wonderful feeling, knowing that Secure Care pays you cash benefits to help cover what Medicare doesn't. And most important, if you're 65 or over and have Medicare, your acceptance for Secure Care 65 is guaranteed. You can't be turned down for any reason. Let me send you this information package that will tell you all about the benefits and the cost of Secure Care 65. And will also include this booklet of your 1981 Medicare benefits, both absolutely free. Now, here's all you do.
Just call toll-free, 1-800-453-9500. The call and the information are both free. Simply dial 1-800-453-9500. That's 1-800-453-9500.
Jackie O's on this week's People, and she's inside People, too.
In 9 pages of the best-selling Maria Callas biography.
And the conflicting role these powerful women played in Onassis' life.
I thought I understood that triangle, till I read People.
People also tells the good and bad results of Lonnie Anderson's fabulous success on WKRP.
That doctor who pioneered in saving premature babies tells how.
Plus the week's worth of news about the people we're talking about, so treat yourself.
Treat your family.
To the truth about people
in this week's People. Dozens of features.
But first read People's bonus book with things you never knew about Jackie O, Callas, or Onassis.
I wondered if even when congressional wives get together, can they ever let their hair down, or are they always representing their husband, and even among themselves?
Sometimes they do, but often I remember traveling with the senator's wife hitting tennis balls for cancer, and I said to her, "Aren't you tired?" We were all alone, and she says, "Oh, no, I get up every morning at 5:30, and I thought, oh, dear, chatty Kathy herself, you know. I said, this is not one for friendship here.
Would you tell us about your marriage before these problems started occurring, and how long were you married before your husband was a congressman?
He was a congressman when I met him, and he was single. He had been divorced, and I was single, too. And I didn't go out with him for a long time. And then I went out with him, and we were together constantly for about a year before we got married. And almost directly, almost immediately after we got married, traumatic things started happening. It was really astounding. But I guess all women marry men, or you wouldn't even marry them if you didn't have an expectation of them, and it never turns out to be the way you think it's going to be, I suppose, anyway. Isn't that true? Oh, it does. Well, sometimes it does.
Rita, what exactly is in that Playboy book?
Well, you have 3 hours. Let's see. It's basically some of the funny and sad things that occurred, you know, in our taking the whole spectrum now in our marriage, I suppose. Hey, now, come on, don't do that.
You want to share? You'll share with us your...
Just the headshot, please. Look at that. Just put it away, sit on it.
Okay, you had mentioned that your husband somewhat changed after you got married. So I assume when you first got married, he wasn't chasing girls and didn't have a drinking problem. Well, did you two seek counseling, or did you try to help each other in any way?
Well, I sought counseling, but every time a psychiatrist said leave him, I left the psychiatrist. Because I said, they don't understand John, you know? And so I would leave and go to another psychiatrist. There are more psychiatrists in Washington, D.C. than any other city in the United States. It's true. Really, there really is. Well, we have free we get it free through our federal... Great. Aren't you glad? And also, your congressmen and senators that vote against medical insurance for the elderly and for the poor have free medical service the rest of their lives, the position of the Capitol, and they get free pharmaceutical goods and free shampoo and free soap and all that from a pharmacy right across from the physician of the Capitol's office.
Is the caller there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
I'm calling from downstate, and I'm calling to sympathize with Mrs. Jenrette. I was married to a local politician, and I'd like for her to know that she isn't alone, that it happens from the very smallest politician all the way up. And I agree with her in everything she's doing.
Thank you so much.
And I would wish that she keeps on so that other women do know that this does happen to the... My life was a total wreck for about 10 years until I got away from it. And I also have 3 children who are scarred, too.
Yeah.
Well, this problem is not exclusive to public servants, shall we make that point?
No, you can be a longshoreman's wife. I mean, it's, yeah.
And you want to comment, do you?
Yes, I do.
Hang on. Wait a minute. Hang on just a second. We're going to get a review of the Playboy spread. You understand?
Please don't.
No, well, I don't see anything wrong in the Playboy book. And if your husband was the one that told you to do this in the first place, well, why did you do it, though, even with him suggesting something like that?
I was reticent, and then Playboy flew me here, and I said, listen, if you're flying me to Chicago and you think I'm going to take off anything, you're very mistaken. And then they put me in this room with Pompeo Posar, who's this leading photographer. He's been with Hefner for 20 years or so. And he makes you feel, and you've got to see, my self-esteem was very low even then. I thought, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not anything enough for my husband to be faithful to me. I mean, that's where I was at the time. I'm not there anymore, and I don't know that I would do it today.
How much what?
You were married 5 years. Was it like this at the beginning with all this, or?
After our first anniversary was the first time I visually caught him in the arms of another woman. That was our first time, right after my first wedding anniversary. But John assured me that he was drinking and that, you know, and he always, if I found him with someone, he would convince me I didn't see what I saw. He's the most convincing person. He is a wonderful politician. That's why. He is so convincing. He convinces you that the sky is red if you think it's blue. I mean,
I think we're in for a lot of trouble with a lot of congressmen that are like this then.
I'm not saying a lot are. There are really a lot of congressmen who are dedicated people, and but there are some who aren't. Yeah.
Do you think nudity is beautiful?
No.
No.
I think it depends on who's nude, don't you?
Yes. Rita, do you have any advice for someone who's thinking of moving to Washington, D.C. now to seek a career?
You better believe it. In my book, this coming, I have tips for new congressional spouses, and one, you know, is that listen, don't stay in your home district. Don't stay in Alton, Illinois, or Muskogee, Oklahoma. Move to Washington. Be with him. Make sure you hire his executive secretary, because if you don't, she can make your life absolutely miserable. Believe me. So, yeah, I have a lot of tips for people coming to the city. But people in general don't have the problems that those who are in politics encounter. You have 5 and 6 receptions every night that are compulsory, that you have to go to.
I can't imagine a compulsory social reception.
Let me tell you this. Because we don't have public financing of campaigns, we don't have really a limit that people can spend. Those lobbyists that stand outside the door and say, vote yes, vote no. Well, a guy goes in, sometimes he doesn't know he's voting for H.R. 1009 or whatever unless he's introduced the legislation or it's the Hyde Amendment, somebody's getting a lot of publicity. And when they're going in that door, they're thinking, well, that guy gave me the maximum of $5,000, and I'm going to have a $250,000 campaign. I make $60,000 a year. I better vote no.
Right.
You know,
and this point should be made as well, that's true. They all have all these receptions, and there is liquor served at all these receptions.
I had people
I don't know how in the hell you can, without being a little goofy.
When John was trying to, when I had him in, he had gone into the Schick Center long before this Abscam thing happened, and before he went into Bethesda for this other cure. And unfortunately, it's aversion therapy, and they cured him from drinking scotch. He told them that was his favorite drink, which it wasn't. So he could drink everything else but scotch after that. I mean, he's... But anyway, they do. I had at the Christmas party before John, a couple of months before Abscam occurred, I said, he wants a Coke. And so they gave him a Coke. And then I went to the powder room. When I came back, they had given him a Coke with liquor in it. And I said, how can you do this? And they were always thinking I was this irate, crazy wife. But they do. They stick, and they make a big deal out of it. If they don't drink, they say, you're not drinking. You know, they make a gigantic deal out of it.
Do you feel that you blame Washington for this? But if your husband was in a different profession, let's say he was a plumber or something, do you think he would still be carrying on?
Sure. That's John. That's not Washington. That's John the man. I mean, you can't blame Washington on that. But maybe that kind of man's attracted to Washington. I don't know.
And we'll be back.
Plenty of Johns there. I know that.
In just a moment.
Hey, there's a snack inside my snacking cake.
Make someone happy. Hi, Grandma. There's a snack inside my snacking cake.
You and Betty Crocker can make someone happy.
Inside every delicious snacking cake is a special snack. Chocolate chips, or banana, or raisins, or walnuts. Snacking cake, just mix, bake, and serve in the same pan. There's a snack inside my snacking cake. With snacking cake,
You and Betty Crocker can make someone happy.
How quaint. Pardon? That darling bottle of rose milk. My new skincare lotion. Something like this. Absolutely. Mine's from Paris. It costs $50. Mine's from New York, and it costs less than $2. And you put that on your skin? Yes, because it has 10 very soft, very gentle moisturizers. Of course, mine does have an elegant perfume so attractive to men. Mine has just a touch And it works fine.
New rose milk. Not expensive, just rich. At Snyder drugstores.
Last year, 3,000 high school students from all over the world came to live with American families for a year through a program called AFS. This is the day they said goodbye. Through AFS, they came to learn about us, and we came to learn about them. Add some warmth to your life. Host an AFS foreign student. We provide the students. You provide the love. Write AFS or call toll-free.
The Playboy magazine featuring Mrs. Jenrette is making its rounds. What do you think?
It's embarrassing.
Is the caller there?
Let's see.
Yes. I feel very sorry for Mrs. Jenrette, and, you know, we all have problems. But I think she responded in a very tacky way, and I'm disappointed at the monumental overdoses of silliness that we have. She is a national joke. And I'm just dying for David Berkowitz's book to come out. Or maybe I could confess to the killings in Atlanta. I'd make a fortune.
You know, that's not really fair. I feel very sorry for you. I don't know if you've ever caught your husband in the arms of another woman, or if you've ever opened his closet and found $25,000 stuck in a brown suede shoe, but you can't sit in judgment of me.
Understand part of her anger, if I can presume to speak for her tonight.
Yeah.
One of the problems is this business of the perception that she's out there trying to make it in an inflationary world to the next paycheck, and you're making a lot of money by reporting on what she perceives to be, at the very least, ungraceful behavior.
Believe it or not, she may be a very wealthy woman living in Forest Hills or something. I mean, more than likely she is, and that's the kind of person that is the most judgmental. The person that's living the next paycheck understands that Rita Jenrette has to live, and they understand what I had to do and what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Where do you live? Do you mind telling us?
I'm south side of Chicago, and I don't live...
Oh, in the suburbs?
No, in Chicago.
You live in the city?
In the city, south side.
Yeah. You're married?
Yes.
What's your husband make? Do you mind telling us?
What does my husband make?
Yeah.
Well, enough, but, you know...
That's not our business. I'm just curious.
Do you work?
Part-time, yes, I do. I have 3 kids. And, no, that's not the point, though. We know how much my husband makes. I'm a taxpayer, I'm a citizen. Don't we have the right to expect dignified and responsible behavior from our lawmakers and law enforcers?
Well, I gave dignified 5 years of my life. For 5 years, I worked for free. I implemented single-handedly a sunflower program in my husband's district. I worked unpaid for 5 long, hard years.
That's good. That's very nice. Shouldn't we expect, you to continue? What's the time limit on it? It's a joke. And
hang on a minute.
Was it dignified to have sex on the Capitol steps?
Pardon me? I can't hear you.
I said, was it dignified to have sex on the Capitol steps?
I wasn't thinking of dignification at the moment. We had been married a very short time, and no one could see us. No one saw it. We were newly married, and that happened, and I can see how you feel the way you do, and that's fine. I mean, there's nothing I can do to change your mind, and there's nothing I can do to change what happened either.
The other point, Mrs. Jenrette, is it's hard to believe. Didn't you worked in Capitol Hill before? Weren't you working there when you met John?
I was opposition research director of the Republican National Committee.
It's hard to believe that you were so totally surprised by the behavior of these folks after you married him.
moved to Washington when I met John. And then I lost my job because I dated John at the Republican National Committee. And I was not versed in Capitol Hill or the ongoings at all. And no one knows what it's like until you've married into it. And then you really know what it is like.
Is the caller still there?
I am.
Yeah. Do you, aren't you a little embarrassed by our own interest in Rita Jenrette? I mean, doesn't that bother us? Us a little, the public. You know, I have this sense that the people who are angriest at Rita Jenrette are the people who can't wait to read about her in the next newspaper.
Oh, I can wait. No, it's like funny how...
She's laughing too hard. You know, it's such a joke.
A little people thing in the Tribune. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know, today's joke about the Jenrettes is, can't you wait to hear it?
But that has a lot to do with the press. The press is embarrassed as well. But the press cannot ignore this, because the press reports what we care about. And no matter how long your speech may be, or how elegant, we are interested in this. There's no way around that fact. We love this stuff. It's got sex, a beautiful woman with a great body, it's got power. That's the stuff of best-selling novels. So let's not kid ourselves.
It's the stuff of best-selling novels. It is not the stuff of Capitol Hill, and it shouldn't... I'd be embarrassed if I were...
Fact is stranger than fiction, my friend.
If this was going on in Capitol Hill under the Carter administration, how do you think it's going to change under Reagan?
I think the players have changed. The game is still the same.
I just want you to know that I did see your pictures this morning in Playboy, and I thought they were tastefully done, and I thought they were beautiful.
I appreciate that.
And also, I think part of the problem is the perks that all the congressmen and senators are given. That they just, to me, I get the feeling they're all very spoiled. I mean, it's just everything is handed to them, and I think it makes it easier for this type of thing to go on.
Well, you can take a good guy that comes to Congress, and his head has to be turned. He's surrounded by groupies at each reception if his wife's staying home in the district, tending children at home. And all of a sudden he goes home to the wife and she says, well, little Johnny's acting up or the roof needs fixing. And instead he wants to be surrounded by these adoring staff people and the groupies who say everything that comes out of his mouth is monumental.
And you don't know, the person being spoiled doesn't get it.
But they don't know that it's happening. It happens before they know it. And then all of a sudden they're ensconced into their position and they don't even realize it.
You know, about 6 years ago, I started staying in suites in hotel rooms. And about 6 months ago, I was on a trip, and it was a paid-for trip. And I went to my room that my host had provided. And it was a regular room. And I remember looking around and saying, where's the French provincial wingback chair?
Where's the suite?
Where's the fireplace? And where's the fruit with the cellophane, from the manager that says we're well?
I was wondering that last night, Phil. No, I'm kidding.
But don't miss the point. The congressional animals get this.
Oh, do they?
They get it, and they get it.
People stick $100 bills in their hands. Lobbyists, you come home and they pull out from their pocket a $100 bill. And how do you think Talmadge's wife found all of those $100 bills?
Yeah, that's why I think it's so frustrating to so many of us that our voters and taxpayers, we'd like to stop some of this, but
it can be stopped. It can, I tell you.
Because they're not going to deny
it would take a sacrifice by the people. But if we had public financing of campaigns, but limited it now, not to these $200,000 for Congressional, limited to a very small sum, make those guys get back and pound the pavement. And ask the TV stations if they wouldn't give free airtime for a debate of congressional and senatorial candidates.
Yes.
So you could see them, or a public forum. Have them go door to door, and, like Abraham Lincoln did, and said, hi, I'm John, and I'm asking for you, but don't let these TV people sell us on the people that we vote for. Don't let the makeup and the glamour and all that make us vote for someone over someone.
I think it's a wonderful idea, but the point let us understand the consequences of these rules. Now, first of all, you've got more rules. That means you have to pay for more people to enforce the rules.
But you get rid of the lobbyists.
If you're going to oblige television stations to provide free airtime for congressional candidates, not a bad idea. I'm not here to speak for the industry. But see their problem. What about the guy running for sheriff, or the 6 people running for sheriff? And does the dog catcher get a time
Let's take some of those
and where do we
funny TV
stop?
programs
All right.
off TV and put some more. We could take. There's a lot of airtime spent with
I don't
inadequate
that's
programming.
absolutely right. But how many candidates and under what circumstances?
I think you have to have a criteria, like maybe a pre-primary where they receive so many votes.
All right.
And
Can we
qualify.
advertise for the primary? Can I buy time for the primary? Of me walking through the field with my coat off. I'm going to go to a steel mill with my coat off, and the voice from the announcer is going to say,
5 o'clock in the morning, shaking hands.
Mr. Donahue is a man who is a man who knows he is a man. Can I do that?
I think you'd be great.
Well, but I'll win the primary, and then I get the free airtime. And I'm not only that, I'm going to have some of the fat cats in my constituency pay for the time.
Yeah, I think we'd have to have rules to limit what you could spend.
And what about First Amendment rights? And if I made $1 million last year, who do you think you are telling me that I can't spend it in a New York Times ad to support a candidate? Isn't that a denial of my free speech? It gets real complicated.
Easy, but I think there is a way to do it. I certainly think, and I think it's the only way that we can clean up what's happening.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
What's the right age to start strained foods? These babies are all different ages, but they've all taken that big step with Gerber. Is your baby ready? Look for the signs, like doubled birth weight and frequent hunger less than 3 hours after breastfeeding, or drinking more than a quart of formula a day. And talk to your health advisor. Maybe it's time to introduce your baby to the goodness of Gerber. At Gerber, we've learned a lot about food because we care a lot about babies.
C&H from Hawaii, like a special place, it comes from C&H.
Hey kids, did you know that the food you eat helps your body grow? So join the Great American Nutrition Campaign and eat the food that's good for you. Next time you want a snack, choose an apple, a banana, or plain popcorn. They taste great and they're good for you. Be healthy, eat well. Your body will love you for it.
Yum, yum, bumblebee, bumblebee tuna.
I love bumblebee tuna. Yum, yum, bumblebee tuna.
I love a sandwich made with bumblebee, bumblebee.
There's one tuna that's so delicious, people can't help singing its praises.
I love the tuna they call bumblebee.
On our next midday show, some very special music provided by the Harmonicats.
And I have some secret information. They're going to play for us their most famous number, Peg of My Heart.
Oh, and Evelyn Young is going to bake for us her most famous bread, Swedish rye bread, and she makes a terrific loaf of rye bread.
It is delicious. Those of you who wear contact lenses are going to be interested in another feature. We'll talk about all the new advances in that technology. We'll have news and weather for you, too, on our next midday program. Be with us.
Rita Jenrette will receive her mail over the next several days at the Playboy here in Chicago, 919 North Michigan in Chicago. The zip is 60611. Just address it to Rita Jenrette at that location. Speaking of Playboy,
No, this isn't speaking of Playboy, but in your opinion, are congressional junkets of any value to the United States, or are we just giving you free vacations? There are some junkets that are worthwhile, that I think investigate serious matters that our congressmen and senators need to be cognizant of. But there are others who are that, and I've been on them, so I don't, I speak from authority, but I say that some of them are just pleasure trips.
What's your husband doing now?
Had no earthly idea. I know he's doing a movie or something like that.
Yeah. Yes.
When I came here, I had a preconceived notion from reading what I hear that I really thought I dislike you, but I don't, listening to your talk.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you a lot.
Is the caller there?
Yes, I am.
Go right ahead.
I want to let Rita know that I can relate to this Playboy thing with her real intimately. I was a cheerleader with the NFL from San Diego, California. Playboy did a pictorial on NFL cheerleaders, and the management for the San Diego Chargers actually gave Playboy directions to the practices, everything. But when we took the initiative and were actually in the magazine, all hell broke loose. Now, this is another indication of men.
Right. I understand. I'm sorry to cut you off. We make you titillate the public, and then we get mad at you when it works.
Right. And this.
Yeah. And you sell tickets, all those women jumping around with those bodies. You sell tickets. Yet you have to be a nun as well, or Pete Rozelle sends you a memo. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm sorry to bum rush you here. Is the caller there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. You're on the air now.
Yes, my name is John Jenrette.
Is it?
That's him. It's his accent.
Yeah.
Yes, and you're calling from?
I'm in South Carolina.
Can you see the show there?
I'm looking at my wife now.
Well, you must see us on cable then. From where in South Carolina are you calling?
From Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
What are your feelings, John?
Well, you know, I'm embarrassed. Embarrassed about the whole episode, but one thing I think needs to be very clear. I never wanted Rita to pose for Playboy.
John, we'll have the Playboy representative stand up here. You suggested the idea to Peter Range in Washington, D.C. in front of Kathy Maxa.
I begged her, with her parents, not to do it. And she has never...
Talk to my parents.
Never paid a penny on the trial, and that was never even discussed.
I didn't say that. I did today.
And it's...
Yes, it was discussed.
She says that she paid the tuition for my daughter.
Yes, I have the canceled checks.
Well, you took all the money out of my account.
John? I told you he was very convincing, didn't I? John?
He had the money, has had the money, wrote the check, took the money, and I just feel, I wish her no harm. I really wish her no harm, but when you get my children involved, it's ridiculous.
I love your children, and I've been a lot better to them than you ever have.
Well, that's just not true.
Oh, yeah, it is true.
John, Mr. Jenrette, sir, what are you doing now?
Well, I'm trying to get my $35,000 back that she took.
Oh, really? Well, I'd like my $30,000 worth of silver that you removed from the house and every stick of furniture and everything else you took out of the house. If this is going to become a divorce case here, John.
But you'll agree, Mr. Jenrette, that the dialogue on a national television program of this kind is not in your best interest, and it's certainly not in your wife's, soon-to-be ex-wife's best interest.
No, well, if she leaves my children alone, I wish her well. I hope she sells 1 million copies, because I'm sure if she does, it'll save me a lot of money.
Yeah, all right. Are you off the booze, Mr. Jenrette?
Oh, yeah, I'm off the booze.
It's not what I've heard, John.
All right. Will you accept our hope for both of you that your futures will have less distractions, and that your children certainly will have a happier, well-employed father?
I certainly wish that, and I wish Rita well, but just leave my children out of it, please.
Goodbye, John, and good luck to you. Signing off.
We'll be back in just a moment.
I thought nobody'd notice if I substituted bargain tissues for puffs.
Achoo! Hey, where's my puffs?
Achoo! Hey, Mom! These aren't puffs. Was I wrong? It pays to buy puffs. They're so much softer, less irritating. That's the value my family notices. Achoo! Hey, soft. These are puffs.
Puffs. The softest is the better buy. Now, the next generation in skincare. Estee Lauder's new age-controlling cream. While only nature controls the aging process, Estee Lauder's age-controlling cream helps control the signs of aging, dryness, and the resulting fine lines and wrinkles. It is Estee Lauder's new Super Nourisher. See improvement the first day. Discover age-controlling cream, part of Estee Lauder's new Swiss age-controlling skincare program at Dayton's Cosmetics.
Are classical ballerinas in better shape than linebackers? This doctor for the Boston Ballet Company thinks so, and he has data to prove it. Visit the ballet's training camp and learn that it takes more than great music to keep dancers on their toes.
And join the Phantom Diner as he visits a country-style Japanese restaurant in St. Paul called Sajiya.
PM Magazine.
Are you ready for a change? Do you need a job, or do you want a better job? Do you need help going back to school? At CHART, you'll meet women just like yourself, women who are seeking direction and need a supportive staff to help you make that change happen. Call us at 871-9100. Make your change happen today.
If you would like a written transcript of today's program, send $2.50 in check or money order to Donahue Transcripts, Box 2111, Cincinnati, Ohio 45201. Include the subject or the name of the guest with your request.
Jim Aberrest's credibility up against John's, didn't you?
With time only to thank, someone said it looks like a messy divorce coming up, and you're saying it probably will be.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Well, with time only to thank you.
Unfortunately.
And you for being with us. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
The average life expectancy of a Volvo in Sweden has risen to 18.7 years. The longer we build them, the longer they last.
True Value hardware stores where quality, selection, and service are why they're #1. True Value is more than just a name, it's their way of doing business.
A new Good Earth restaurant is now open in Roseville near Long Cadillac on Highway 36. Now deliciously different dining awaits you at 4 Good Earth restaurants. Savor fine foods made fresh each day from original recipes. The Good Earth's breads, cakes, cookies, and bars are baked fresh daily from scratch. Only the freshest of ingredients are used in preparing cashew chicken, beef stroganoff, seafood sautés, and bountiful sandwiches. Discover the freshness of the 4 Good Earth restaurants. Galleria, Bonaventure, Westbrook Mall, and Brooklyn Center, and the new Good Earth in Roseville, just west of Rosedale on Highway 36.
It's Plywood, Minnesota's biggest sale. Showroom-wide savings on carpeting, wallpaper, paneling, kitchen cabinets, and vanities, plus free bonuses. When you buy professionally installed carpeting, you get the carpet pad free. Luxurious carpets from the leading mills. Hundreds of decorator wallpapers in stock, ready to go. Buy 3 rolls of selected wallpaper and get the 4th roll free. Plywood, Minnesota's annual spring sale.
Martha, money's coming out of this dishwasher.
Of course, it's General Electric factory rebate time.
But
now you get big rebates direct from GE when you buy that dishwasher, this range, this refrigerator.
how do they do that?
Easy, just go to your GE appliance dealer.
I just shook hands with the microwave.
GE, we bring good things to life.
Available at King TV and Appliance and Matlin Appliance.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Gary Collins. Today on our magazine, Dr. Rosenfeld will give us his monthly medical update, including some new developments in heart transplants. How does John Boyd from the Waltons feel about being a father? Well, we'll find out from actor Richard Thomas. We'll meet a woman whose husband has been missing in action for 14 years and who still believes he's alive. And my co-host Pat Mitchell continues her series on the American family as she visits a homosexual couple in San Francisco. All this and more in today's edition of Our Magazine. Thank you for joining us. Do you happen to know what day of the week and where most heart attacks take place? Well, Dr. Isidore Rosenfeld is here today with his medical update to answer those questions and explain several other recent medical advances. Dr. Rosenfeld, of course, is clinical professor of medicine in the cardiology division of New York Hospital Cornell Medical Center and author of The Complete Medical Exam and Second Opinion. Nice to have you with us. Thank you. As always, Dr. R. When do most heart attacks take place? I didn't know there was a figure on that.
I didn't know it either until in my recent reading of the literature, I came across this very interesting analysis. You know, the causes of heart attacks are so many and varied. High cholesterol, not enough exercise, too much exercise, too hot weather, too cold weather, and so on. That certain investigators decided to look into the occurrence rate statistically, and they came up with a very interesting finding, which is probably true. It turns out that among people without any previous history of heart disease, 75% of the heart attacks that occur at work occur on a Monday. And 47% of the heart attacks that occur at home occur on a Monday, as opposed to any other day of the week. This is only true for people who have no previous history or symptoms of heart trouble, in whom the attack comes out of the blue. In those who have a previous history, then the incidence is spread throughout the week. Now, it's interesting to speculate as to why this should be. Is it a cyclical thing in which Monday is a favorite day? Mm-hmm. Is it the fact that the victim is relaxed all weekend and then is returned to the stress of his job? Is it a matter of pollution? People who are at home and in the garden and coming back from the mountains and holidays and so on. I don't think the answer is clear. I suspect, as I'm sure you do, that it's probably a matter of being suddenly re-immersed into stress.
Right. I mentioned transplants. What's new as far as an update on transplants?
Well, we all remember the great brouhaha when Christian Barnard did his first heart transplant, and that was indeed a tremendous accomplishment. And then it died down. After a flurry of Me Too operations, it died down.